Welcome back to the channel, everyone. You are tuning in to 6-Path Weeb. Today, we are bridging two legendary worlds once again as we dive straight into part 2 of our featured fanfic, Immortal Naruko in the Dragon Ball Z universe. Before we jump into the story, a quick disclaimer: the content on this channel is created strictly for entertainment and discussion purposes. I do not own any of the anime footage, characters, or concepts used in my videos. All rights, credits, and intellectual properties belong entirely to their respective creators and copyright holders. With that out of the way, let's pick up right where we left off. Let's get started. Naruko was drifting into a peaceful slumber as the shimmering mist filled her magical pod. It was meant to keep her safe on the long journey, setting her body to rest and allowing her thoughts to settle. But instead of just sleeping, the magical mist had a peculiar effect, sending Naruko's bright mind deep into her inner mindscape. Waking up in a quiet underground area where cool, clear water coated the floor, she looked around in wonder. "Where am I?" "Oh," she whispered, realization dawning on her. "I'm inside my own mind, but I didn't plan to visit here. If my furry friend pulled me in, I'd be right in front of his gates. How did this happen?" she asked aloud, her boots splashing softly as she walked. She followed the familiar, glowing path toward the great fox's chamber. They might playfully bicker sometimes, but he always knew a lot. She kept walking until she reached the grand chamber. "Hey there, Fox. Are you awake?" she called out gently to the only other presence in the room. A giant paw stretched out from behind the grand gates, and a deep, rumbling yawn echoed through the room. "So, my energetic host decides to visit. How surprising," the giant fox spoke, his gravelly voice echoing like thunder. Naruko stood tall, shaking off her initial surprise. "Not exactly. I would have gladly let you nap, but I need some answers," she said, catching the fox's attention. "Do you know about the sparkling mist from earlier?" A slow nod came from the grand orange-furred fox resting behind the gates. "Then do you know how I ended up wandering my own mind without trying to?" she asked. "I do, but why should I explain it to you, little one?" the great fox asked. "Because if you tell me, we can both go back to resting peacefully," Naruko answered with a bright smile, and the fox considered this for a moment. "Fair enough. Listening to your endless chatter is tiring enough," the magnificent creature huffed playfully. "The mist you breathed is a special sleepy dust. It puts your body into a deep, safe hibernation. For a normal person, resting in that pod for a year would just feel like a long nap with no side effects. But because of my magic, things are a little different for you. That makes sense. But usually, you help me wake up from things like this. Why am I still dreaming?" she asked, tilting her head. "Because, silly girl, I thought it was the best choice," the fox stated. At Naruko's confused expression, he sighed. "If I had woken your body up, you would have been awake inside the tiny pod out in the stars, with nothing to do and nowhere to go. Imagine how boring that would be." He looked at her, and Naruko shivered at the thought of being stuck in a tiny box. "Exactly. This way, you stay perfectly safe, and when we finally land, we can go on a new adventure." The fox rested his giant chin on his paws. He was being surprisingly helpful. "But if that's true, why am I awake in here?" she asked. "The mist rests the body, but your bright mind is still active. Your mind sank into our shared space. I hope you enjoy your time exploring your own imagination," the fox chuckled softly. "What do you mean?" Naruko asked, curious about his amused tone. "Well, the ship's computer said it will take 91 days to reach our new planet. But in here, time moves differently. Since your body is resting, your mind is free to work at super speed. Do you remember what you read in that science book your wise teacher gave you?" the fox asked, enjoying the puzzle he was giving her. Naruko thought for a moment, remembering her lessons. The mind is amazing. It works super fast. While our eyes might only see a few things a second, our imagination can process things much, much faster if it tries. It means my mind can. She paused, her blue eyes widening. "My mind works 5 times faster in here," she said, bouncing slightly on her toes. The fox smiled a grand, toothy smile at Naruko. 91 days, little hero. In your mind, where you don't need to eat, sleep, or do chores. 91 days. Becomes over 400 days. 455 days of pure imagination. Enjoy your grand playground, the fox laughed warmly. "Now, shoo. Go explore and see what wonderful things you can dream up." With a gentle whoosh of energy, Naruko found herself back in the main hallway. She stood there, staring at the sparkling water on the floor. 455 days to think, play, and explore her own dreams. "Oh my goodness," she whispered in awe. Taking a deep breath, She puffed out her cheeks. It's okay, this is great. It's my own mind, after all. I'll just explore and see what wonderful places I've hidden away. I have plenty of time for an adventure. With a cheerful skip, she started walking down the hall. The walls changed from plain stone to brightly colored corridors. She started to notice beautiful, decorated doors along the walls. Curious, she opened the first one. Why won't anyone play with me? Naruko heard a small, sad voice from inside. As she looked through the door, she saw a memory of herself when she was much younger, sitting alone on a swing while the other village children played tag nearby. She watched her younger self feeling lonely and left out. Seeing the memory again made her heart ache a little for that lonely little girl, but she also knew how far she had come since then. It's not a very happy memory, is it? Spoke a familiar voice, though it sounded a bit quiet and shy. Looking to her side, Naruko saw a reflection of herself. But this version was made of soft, gray clouds, like a gloomy, rainy day. Who are you? Naruko asked the gloomy reflection gently. You, the reflection answered simply, before laughing with a gentle, melodic chime. Or at least the part of you that you sometimes hide away. The true you, and yet not. She tilted her head, a playful smile on her face as she stepped forward beside Naruko and stared at the swirling memory. For now, just call me Yami. Ah, yes. One of our toughest days. I remember it vividly, Yami said to Naruko, who simply shrugged. Do you remember? It was the day we tried so hard to master that difficult leap across the river. We fell in the muddy water so many times, we were soaked to the bone and shivering. You were so tired you fell asleep right there under the old oak tree. The magical fox energy within us kept us warm, wrapping around us like a cozy blanket while you slept peacefully. I remember. Yami waved her hand, displaying the memory of the rainy day, and Naruko sighed, feeling the echo of that old exhaustion. Oh, it was quite a struggle. But now you understand how strong it made us, don't you? Yami stated, a supportive gleam in her eyes. Why are you showing me this? Naruko asked, and Yami's smile softened. To help you, of course. We have a lot of time here together. I want to remind you of everything we have been through, not just what you remember, but what we both experienced. Sometimes I tease you for being such a happy-go-lucky dreamer, but you have grown so much. After that friendly but tough spar with Sasuke, you really started paying attention. That is why I am helping you now, Yami explained cheerfully. Now, let us get moving. There are 13 years of wonderful and challenging memories we need to see. Whatever hesitation Naruko had faded when she felt a gentle pull toward the next glowing door, realizing this journey of self-discovery was exactly what she needed. Naruko could not track the time as they drifted from memory to memory. Some moments were difficult, bringing back old feelings of loneliness, and Yami would sigh softly. But when Naruko latched onto the happy, shining memories, Yami would smile and cross her arms in satisfaction. As they progressed, Naruko realized her life had been a series of stepping stones, teaching her resilience. Our life really had some tough hills to climb, Naruko stated, and Yami nodded. Yes, it did. Many people in the village did not understand us at first, Yami voiced, waiting for Naruko to disagree, but Naruko just nodded thoughtfully. But there were so many good times, too. The Ichiraku family has always been so kind to us, spoke Naruko, remembering the warm bowls of noodles and the special cookbook she received from Tucci. They definitely went out of their way to make sure we always had a warm meal and a bright smile waiting for us, Yami agreed. If not for their kindness, our lonely days would have been much harder. They gave us a place to belong when we needed it most, Naruko said, cherishing the memory of their favorite noodle stand. Indeed, Yami voiced as they walked down the sparkling hall. So, I guess that is all the memories we have? Our entire life? Naruko asked, looking at her glowing reflection. Are you sure? You know how this works by now. What is the one memory you have not seen yet? The one that will answer your biggest questions? Yami asked, and Naruko stopped in her tracks. The day of my birth. Bingo. Follow me. Or are you just going to stand there frozen, like Hinata used to do when she tried to say hello? Yami teased. I am coming, she spoke, catching up to Yami. I still cannot believe I never noticed what a wonderful, supportive friend she was trying to be. She softly patted her forehead as all the memories of the gentle girl came together. Yep, you can be a bit of a slow, oblivious dreamer sometimes. But you have a good heart, Yami spoke, clapping her hands lightly for Naruko, who just offered a sheepish grin. Anyway, where is this memory? Naruko asked as they continued walking. Patience. We will get there. It is the very first memory, after all, she stated, gliding gracefully. Naruko hummed thoughtfully but followed along. They walked for some time, arriving at a grand, beautifully carved door. Naruko knitted her brows together and looked at Yami. The third Hokage placed a gentle lock on this memory to keep it safe until you were ready, Yami explained, waving her hand. The soft, shimmering ribbons of light that protected the door faded away like morning mist. Go ahead. But as you watch, let the memory fill your heart, as it will explain so much, Yami whispered, staying back as Naruko walked to the door and pushed it open. First came a warm, golden flash of light, and then the soft cries of a newborn baby. Her first sight was of kind faces she did not quite know, including an older woman with long brown hair and a reassuring smile. Naruko remembered her from a picture on the third Hokage's desk, by Wako. Naruko smiled at that, she had been there to help bring her into the world safely. Then, as she was gently carried, the crying baby settled, and Naruko saw something that made her gasp. The fourth Hokage. Wide-eyed, she watched as he reached out with such tenderness. He was standing beside a beautiful woman with vibrant red hair and sparkling violet eyes, resting peacefully after the journey of birth. The woman looked down, greeting the baby and softly calling her Naruko. Those violet eyes stared right into the baby's bright blue ones. Mother, Naruko whispered, happy tears forming in her eyes. Then, she heard the loving words exchanged between the fourth Hokage and her mother, and a magnificent truth washed over her. Father. She breathed, the happy tears now rolling down her cheeks. I am the daughter of the fourth Hokage. Her voice was filled with a sense of wonder. She cast a glance back at Yami, who nodded encouragingly, pointing back to the beautiful scene. Naruko returned her attention to the memory. She watched as she was carefully cradled in her father's strong arms. She learned another secret then, as she saw a glowing, protective seal gently resting on her mother's resting form. Mom was the keeper of the magical fox before us, she said, her voice filled with awe and delicate reverence. Then, in a bright flash of golden light, her father safely spirited them away to a quiet, peaceful sanctuary beneath the stars, wrapping his family in a protective embrace to keep them safe and warm. The memory slowly faded into a tranquil night sky. Naruko looked back at Yami, who gave her a warm, reassuring smile. There is always more to the story, Yami stated gently. Naruko nodded and turned, her eyes softening as she saw the memory of her mother standing there, holding her as a baby. Her mother was whispering sweet, comforting things to her, and Naruko kept every gentle word safely in her heart. She could almost feel the warmth of her mother's embrace, but the memory gently shifted, bringing her and her mother from their safe haven out into the cool, open night air. Naruko saw glowing candles placed softly around them. It was a beautiful, ancient altar, and she understood what this meant. It was the mystical ceremony that placed the great Kyuubi within her. As she watched, her heart felt heavy. She saw her parents bravely standing in the way of the giant fox to protect her, using a profound, ancient magic to calm the creature. Her mother spoke her beautiful, loving last words to her baby girl, and in that moment, Naruko finally understood the depth of her father's protective magic. She realized what he had done to keep the village safe, and what he had carefully hidden away within her. Shimmering fragments of their loving spirits latched onto her own energy, a permanent gift of love. With wide eyes, she watched the magical ceremony finish, her parents fading into a brilliant, peaceful light. The tears flowed freely down her cheeks now, as Yami stepped forward and gently closed the door, the memory coming to an end. Yami didn't say anything at first, simply standing by and letting Naruko cry, allowing her to process the profound love and sacrifice she had just witnessed. Do. Her voice trembled softly, but she took a deep breath to calm herself. Do we know who the masked person was? Naruko asked Yami, who gently shook his head. No other memory shows any mention or sight of him. This is the only glimpse we have of the person who caused so much sorrow for our family. But now you understand. You know everything about our past that I do. I want you to think on everything, meditate, or just rest for a while, and then I'll find you when you're done. Go ahead and take some time in that quiet chamber I showed you, Yami spoke softly, walking off to let Naruko have her peaceful time alone. Naruko started walking, her steps slow and thoughtful. In the quiet chamber, Naruko allowed herself to sit down comfortably, as her mind gracefully waltzed through that first memory, and every memory that followed. She could see how every action and reaction connected like puzzle pieces. Knowing the complete truth left her feeling a quiet stillness. She curled her knees to her chest and just let her mind continue sorting through the beautiful and the sad moments alike. She had no real sense of time in this mindful place, but when she eventually sat up and looked toward the glowing corridor, she saw Yami standing there with a supportive smile. Feeling better? Asked the shadowy mirror of herself. Can we practice our skills in here? Naruko asked, blinking thoughtfully before offering a small, determined smile. That we can. We'll mostly be reviewing everything we've learned and coming up with clever new ideas. We can refine our forms, much like imaginative training, but a very focused version of it, Yami spoke, walking toward Naruko as she stood up and stretched her arms high. That mysterious person turned our world upside down, and when we return, I'm going to find out why, she stated clearly. What will you do when you find him? I am all for being brave, don't get me wrong, but he is very skilled, and I would much prefer we stay safe and sound, Yami noted, looking closely at his other half. I'm not completely sure yet. But that's why we will train. Every little bit of practice helps, so when the time comes to meet him, I will be ready to stand my ground, she declared, and she noticed Yami was beaming with pride at her. Well, I can already tell you that you have a ways to go, but like you said, that's what practice is for. It's a good thing I have a perfect memory and remember every detail of every single lesson we've ever had. So even if we are just practicing in our minds, you'll be wonderfully prepared, Yami stated, taking a friendly, ready stance. Naruko nodded and mirrored the stance. For a long, peaceful stretch of time, Naruko and Yami practiced to the absolute best of their abilities, letting their imaginations soar without limits. However, that wasn't all that she did. Between their lively practice sessions, she walked back to the Kyuubi's chamber and stood calmly before the grand gates. So you return. And you seem quite different, little one, spoke the ancient, giant being from behind his grand enclosure. I am. Yami showed me our past. Everything, she stated simply, watching as the Kyuubi opened one giant eye to look at her. So you are only the bright, positive half of your true form, she noted, and the Kyuubi just huffed. Your stubborn father is to blame for that one. You tried to hurt me, she said gently, stating a fact rather than an accusation. How would you like being locked away from place to place for 100 years without anyone asking how you felt? I just wanted to be free. The leaders before you only saw me for my energy, keeping me locked up tight. Your space, by far, has been the most comfortable, the great fox admitted, shifting his massive paws to show he had room to stretch. I guess I can understand feeling trapped, she said thoughtfully. You're not terribly upset with me for what happened to your parents? He asked, his voice trying to sound uncaring, but his curiosity was clear. I was very sad, she spoke, looking up at the giant fox. But I understand you were scared and wanted your freedom. Besides, if not for you, I might not have survived that night. My feelings about it are very complicated right now. Such fairness. I've rarely heard humans speak with such an open mind, the fox murmured. Well, I'm trying, she said, leaning casually against the wall. Do you happen to know who that mysterious man was that caused all of this? She asked, catching the Kyuubi's full attention. No. But his magical energy felt very familiar to someone else from long ago. Why? The giant fox asked, lowering his head closer. Because I intend to find him and make sure he can't hurt anyone ever again, she stated. The fox simply raised an enormous eyebrow, considering her brave words before speaking again. He was incredibly skilled. His energy felt similar to others I've encountered in the past, ancient leaders from history. But the way his magic felt wasn't entirely natural, the great fox explained, sharing all the knowledge he had gathered about the mysterious figure. I see. Thank you for telling me. But why are you being so helpful? Naruko asked, tilting her head. Because while I do not enjoy being kept here, I dislike being bossed around by bad people even more. We share a common goal now, little one. I want to make sure no one tries to control me again. I appreciate that. I want to be strong on my own and do the right thing. Relying solely on your energy before made me forget my own potential. I want to learn to work together, properly, she said, offering the fox a respectful nod. I'll come talk to you again soon. Right now, I need to get back to practicing with Yami, she stated as she waved goodbye and left the Kyuubi's chamber. The fox watched Naruko's fading figure with a newfound sense of respect. Indeed, little one. If you are truly serious about this, then I will make sure you have the best chance possible to protect your world, the fox thought to himself. With a gentle sigh, the great fox willingly began to share a warm, golden stream of his chakra. The bright energy drifted down softly, nourishing Naruko's body. It acted like a warm hug, helping her heal, encouraging her to grow healthy and strong, and enriching her very cells with vibrant, positive energy. Use this gift well, brave girl, he whispered, laying his massive head down for a peaceful nap. Naruko was happily unaware of the wonderful, healing changes happening to her. She was already back in the bright chamber with Yami, gracefully running through their martial arts forms. By this time, they had wonderfully compiled all their knowledge into a beautiful, flowing style that perfectly fit Naruko's gentle but firm spirit. Excellent, that's perfect for today, Yami called out, and Naruko stepped out of her stance with a happy sigh. Our physical forms are looking wonderful. We've practiced against the memories of our former rivals as much as we can in here. We'll work on our other creative skills next, Yami stated as the friendly, spectral forms of her old rivals politely bowed and faded away. I still can't believe Haku had us completely fooled with his disguise back then, she said, giggling softly as she caught her breath. A new understanding. I wonder about Haku, Yami mused gently. She was incredibly kind and graceful. Disguising herself might have just been her way of staying safe while traveling through the forests. That makes a lot of sense, Naruko agreed, nodding her head thoughtfully. I suppose we'll always wonder about her clever disguise. True, Yami replied, shifting the topic as the misty memory faded away. But let's focus on your training. We've been reviewing all the wonderful things you've learned. You are going to be so much stronger when you wake up. You'll just have to practice your new skills to see how much you've grown. Wait, what about those glowing magical chains my mom used? Can I learn how to use those? She asked, sitting down carefully on the colorful rug they had imagined into the space. Hopefully someday. But we haven't quite figured out that puzzle yet, Yami explained with a soft sigh. Besides, you need to learn how to channel your own special energy first. Remember, your magic is unique. The great fox spirit's energy has been with you since the very beginning, giving you incredible strength. Plus, your family has a wonderful legacy. You have so much bright potential inside you, Naruko. We just need to practice unlocking it. Do you understand? Naruko nodded bravely. It's definitely a big challenge, she murmured. Yami smiled warmly at her. I have to thank you, though. If not for your cheerful spirit, I wouldn't be smiling right now. Oh, it's nothing. Naruko beamed. Always be true to yourself, Naruko. Promise? Yami asked. I promise, she nodded. Great. Now, it's been a little while. Why don't you go have a nice chat with the fox? Yami encouraged, gesturing toward the grand gates. A promise of friendship. Naruko walked over and stood before the giant fox, looking up at him with curious, bright eyes. If you could be completely free, where would you go? What would you do? She asked gently. The giant fox peered down at the young girl. Why does it matter? It's not as if you can just open these gates, he rumbled. I just want to know, Naruko replied earnestly. I would find a quiet place in the mountains, the fox answered slowly. For so long, people have only ever wanted to use my magic for their own squabbles. I just want to be left in peace. Why do you ask, little one? Because it's not fair that you were locked away, she said bravely. If I promise to find a way to free you one day, when I'm older and my village is safe, would you promise to live peacefully and not hurt anyone? The fox was absolutely astonished. He searched the young girl's bright blue eyes for any sign of a trick, but found only pure honesty. You would truly try to free me? Even knowing it would be incredibly difficult? I would, Naruko said firmly. Everyone deserves a chance to be free and happy. You didn't ask to be trapped here, just like I didn't ask for this to happen to me. I want to be a good friend to you, if you'll let me. The fox stared at her, amazed by her courage and kindness. I accept your promise, he whispered. Thank you. Naruko smiled brightly, turning to leave. Wait. You don't want to ask for my magic? He asked, completely puzzled. Nope. I just want us to understand each other, she said with a cheerful wave, leaving the grand fox stunned by her radiant heart. He rested his head on his paws, a strange new feeling of hope warming him. Time to wake up. Time passed peacefully as Naruko and Yami played quiet games of checkers, using the strategies her friends had taught her. You know, it's pretty funny that you can play board games against yourself, Yami chuckled. Hey, it's great practice, Naruko giggled. It is, Yami smiled, moving a piece on the board. Then, Yami paused, feeling a magical shift in the air. It's time, Naruko. You're waking up. Naruko felt the warm sensation too. Is it really time to go? She asked. Yes. Remember everything you've learned here. You have a beautiful future ahead of you, so go out there and shine. Yami cheered as Naruko's form began to slowly fade into a gentle, sparkling light. Once she was gone, Yami walked over to the giant fox's peaceful resting spot. She has grown so much since she first arrived, Yami noted. Indeed, the little kit has, the fox agreed softly. Kit? Yami asked, surprised by the affectionate nickname. Let's just say, the fox murmured, closing his eyes peacefully, she has a very special heart. Deep within her mind, a comforting voice echoed. Naruko smiled, feeling grateful for the new knowledge she had gained. Thank you for sharing those memories with me, she whispered to her inner companion, the great Nine Tails, who gave a gentle, rumbling hum in response. She felt ready to embrace whatever wonderful adventure came next. Waking up inside her cozy space pod, Naruko yawned and reached her arms up high, accidentally bumping her hands on the curved ceiling. Oops, she giggled, rubbing her palms. Just then, she glanced out the little round window and gasped. A breathtaking planet floated before her eyes. It was a beautiful patchwork of sparkling emerald forests, golden sandy beaches, and vast, shimmering blue oceans. Wow, she whispered. It was the most magnificent sight she had ever seen. She was so mesmerized by the colorful world that she almost missed the pod's cheerful, robotic voice chiming in. Good morning, explorer. Please prepare for a bouncy landing, the friendly computer announced. Naruko blinked, realizing what was about to happen. Oh, my goodness, she exclaimed, quickly leaning back into her plush seat. The pod gently rotated, turning her view toward the twinkling stars. Remembering her lessons, she knew this was to keep her safe and snug during the descent. She took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and waited as the pod gave a soft, bumpy rumble. With a gentle thud, the pod touched down. It was a perfectly smooth landing. She opened her eyes and peered out the window as the dust settled. The pod's door slid open with a pleasant whoosh. We have landed safely. Please explore your wonderful new surroundings to find energy for the journey home, the computer chirped. Naruko happily gathered her neatly packed bags, as well as the ones her teacher had given her, and hopped outside. She found herself in a sunny clearing surrounded by tall, majestic pine trees near a peaceful mountain range. Setting her bags on the soft grass, she checked her supplies to make sure everything was safe and sound. When she looked down at herself, she gasped in surprise. You have grown quite a bit, little one, her inner friend whispered warmly in her mind. Naruko realized it was true. Before her journey, her bright orange outfit used to be a little baggy, dragging past her wrists and ankles. Now, her sleeves and pants fit perfectly, and she stood noticeably taller. Her bright golden hair even draped a little longer over her shoulders. She felt stronger and more balanced than ever. Thank you so much, she replied with a beaming smile. Well, it is time to make a new friend. She cheered. Focusing her bright, bubbly energy, Naruko carefully went through the familiar motions her teacher had taught her. She wanted to summon a wise helper, so she poured plenty of warm, happy energy into her technique. Once she felt completely ready, she gently placed her hand on the ground. Summoning jutsu. She called out cheerfully. A fluffy, white cloud of sparkling smoke puffed into the air, reaching just above her head. A gentle cough came from the smoke. As it cleared, Naruko saw a small, grandfatherly toad with a neat white beard, wearing a tiny, handsome cloak. Well, my stars. If it isn't little Naruko. You finally remembered to call for a toad, did you? He croaked with a warm, wrinkly smile. Hello, sir. I just landed, Naruko explained politely. I was resting in that flying pod for over 90 days. My teacher said to call for a friend as soon as I woke up. The wise toad raised an eyebrow in wonder. 90 days? My word, child. That is a very long nap. How did you manage without a snack or a drink of water? The pod had a special, sleepy magic that kept me safe and dreaming the whole time, she explained brightly. Well, however it happened, I am overjoyed to see you, the toad chuckled. It is amazing you were able to call for me directly. You must be getting very strong. That is because I was practicing. Naruko beamed proudly. Practicing while taking a nap? The toad asked, scratching his head. Naruko nodded eagerly. Yes. In my dreams, I have a magical space where my mind can learn and play. I spent my whole trip reviewing everything I have ever learned, reading books in my imagination, and perfecting my skills. Plus, my inner friend gave me a gift of extra energy to help me grow big and strong. The toad looked impressed, though he gave a gentle, grandfatherly warning. Just be careful with all that new energy, little one. Do not worry, sir, we are the best of friends, Naruko reassured him. But right now, the most important thing is finding our way back home. I am not quite sure which planet this is, and my little pod needs to recharge its batteries. What should we do next? The toad smiled and bowed slightly. First, let me introduce myself. I am Fukasaku, an elder toad. My friends have told me wonderful things about you, young lady. Naruko curtsied playfully. I am so happy to hear that. Please say hello to everyone for me. She paused, her smile turning soft and sweet. While I was dreaming, I remembered a lot of things. I even learned the wonderful secret of who my parents are. Fukasaku's eyes widened in surprise. Naruko giggled, her bright blue eyes shining with love. I am not upset that it was a secret. I am just so happy to know I have such a beautiful family watching over me. But for now, we have an adventure ahead of us. We need to find a way back so I can give everyone the biggest hugs, she declared with a sunny, radiant smile that warmed the elder toad's heart. Right. Anyway, let us see here. Gather your things, and I will use my magic to transport us back to Mount Myaboku, little Naruko, the wise toad spoke, carefully forming his hand signs as Naruko placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. However, when he finished the signs and pressed his hands to the ground, absolutely nothing happened. That is quite odd. Let us try once more, he said, using a bit more energy, but the result was exactly the same. Alright, let us put our full effort into this, he stated, standing perfectly still. Naruko watched curiously. The toad closed his eyes, gathering a wonderful, bright energy that made the air feel warm, but the magical transport failed once again. It is not working, is it? Naruko asked softly. The small toad shook his head sadly. What were you doing just now when you stood so still? She asked. That was my special sage mode, Naruko. Keep up with your practice, and one day we will teach you those wonderful skills, just like your teachers and your father before you. However, that does not help us much if we cannot get you back home, and my energy is running very low. For now, it looks like you are staying here. Naruko looked down, taking a deep breath. She had worried about this. She and her inner guardian spirit had talked about this being a possibility, but she had hoped it would not happen. I am guessing the distance across the stars is too great for your energy to carry me back, isn't it? She asked gently. It seems so, my dear. I am truly sorry, he replied, but Naruko smiled bravely and waved her hand. It is okay, we will figure it out. The little spaceship that brought me said this planet has very advanced technology. Maybe there are kind people here who can help me fix the ship so it can send me back. If it brought me all this way, it can surely take me home, right? She said, full of hope. It is very possible, though human inventions are quite a mystery to me. For now, your main goal is to stay safe and make new friends on this world. Keep practicing your skills so that one day, you can help supply the energy we need to bring you home. For now, why don't you write a letter? I will deliver it safely to your teacher, Jiraiya, and your village leader. Does that sound like a good plan? He asked kindly. You've got it. She cheered. She slipped her backpack off, found a colorful notebook, and began to write. Her letter cheerfully detailed her grand adventure, from discovering the mysterious crater to arriving on this beautiful new planet. She made sure to write a special letter for Lady Tsunade, and a long, happy note for all of her dear friends back home. Once she finished drawing little stars on the edges, she folded them neatly and handed them over to Fukasaku. Could you do me a small favor? Please let Lady Tsunade and my friends read their letters first. And, if you do not mind, maybe play a little friendly prank on Jiraiya before you give him his letter. I will call for you again to share updates when I make some new discoveries here. Is it a deal? She asked with a bright smile. It is a deal, he agreed with a warm smile. He always enjoyed a harmless joke and knew it would be wonderful to see everyone's faces when they read Naruko's sweet letters. He looked at the young girl and chuckled. You know, you are quite different from how Jiraiya described you. He said you were very loud and always rushing into things. Naruko simply giggled. Well, I have had a long journey to think about my life and learned so many wonderful new things. It is hard not to grow and change after a grand adventure like that, she said, giving a happy little shrug. Right you are, little one. Now, promise me you will take good care of yourself, won't you? I will wait for you to call on me soon, and I will try to bring a nice gift or a helpful book for you then. All right? Naruko nodded enthusiastically. The toad bowed his head slightly. Again, Naruko, I am sorry I could not bring you home today, but we will always be looking out for you. Stay safe and keep smiling. With a joyful wave, he disappeared in a soft, sparkly cloud of smoke. Naruko sighed happily as she sat down on the soft grass and looked up at the bright blue sky. Well, what should I explore first? She wondered aloud. She did not have to wait long for an answer. Hearing a soft crunching sound in the grass, she turned her head. There, standing cheerfully in the clearing, was a man with friendly, spiky black hair, wearing a bright orange and blue martial arts outfit. He was looking right at her. Hello there. She greeted him, feeling just a little shy but eager to make a new friend. Oh, hello. My name is Son Goku. Say, was that you making all that bright, wonderful energy just now? He asked, wearing a big, friendly grin. Yes, it was. I sort of tumbled onto this planet by accident while exploring, and my friend was trying to help me find a way back home. It did not quite work out, she explained. Oh, you were a visitor from the stars. Well, I am sorry your ride home did not work out, but welcome to Earth, he said, giving her the biggest, most welcoming smile in the world. That brings us to the end of today's video, YouTube family. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this entertaining, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel so you never miss an update. Stay awesome. 6 Path Weeb.